Hey guys, Philly from MindCode here. In this lecture, I would like to talk about data fetching features of Next.js. So without any further waiting, we can start. I would like to just say that this lecture will be more a freestyle lecture. I didn't prepare any content beforehand, so you will see my development process. Okay, now we can start. You can open your browsers. Okay, first thing here, I will go here to guest mode. All right, and now we can search here first for Next.js because we need to initialize a Next.js project. As you know me, I like to explain topics on practical examples, so I highly encourage you to code with me. First thing, we would like to search here for a Next.js. All right, Next.js by Vercel, so we click on this and we'll initialize project. So we'll go to documents here. All right, here is getting started, setup. Here is just simple command npx create next app, and this will generate application for you. So for this, you need to actually have installed Node.js version 10 or later. So if you don't have it, go to nodejs.org and install a latest LTS version. If we have it, we can continue, and we can continue with this command. So npx create next app. So I will copy it. Let's go to terminals, or in a case you are working on Windows machine, go to your PowerShells. All right, so we can go to our terminal. You can search here for a folder you would like to initialize this project in, or you can simply create a new folder with the command mkdir space and name of your folder, for example, projects. This will create a new folder when you press enter, or you can create a new folder in a file explorer or Finder, up to you. Okay, so I have already this folder here, so cd projects. Or actually, I guess I have this folder. Yes, I have it, cd projects. I will navigate to this folder. Cd is for change directory. Clear is to clear a screen, of course. And now we can copy paste here this command npx create next app space name of your application. So we'll be just calling. I will be calling it data fetching dash next. Okay, we'll press enter. Okay, this will generate for our application, Next.js application. It will install all the dependencies such as React, React DOM, and of course Next. After it will be initialized, we can start up our projects and we'll be introducing these data fetching functions. A lot of things have changed in the latest Next.js versions. So also the functions has changed, and also the way how you are fetching your data. Okay, so it's still installing. In meantime, we can open our coding editor. Oh, actually it's done. So anyway, we can open our coding editors. So my coding editor is Visual Studio Code. Okay, so we'll open Visual Studio Code and I will open the project. Okay, we can close this one, or I can actually open new one. So let's click here, open. Let's find here our project. So in the projects folder, right, we have initialized this in the projects, and here we have a data fetching dash next. All right, so here we are in the data fetching dash next. First thing, I close this. Okay, I hope we are on the same page now. Hope your projects are ready, and when you want to start your project, we can see in a package.json here are some scripts we can execute. Also in a terminal, it should advise you what you should do. So you should go into your project folder, and then you should run here npm run dev. So here it is cd data fetching dash next. So this is the name of your application, and npm run dev. Okay, so cd data fetching dash next, press enter, clear it out, and npm run dev. All right, so now we are starting our development server. Our application will be running on a server localhost 3000, and now we can visit our applications in our browsers. So let's open our browser and let's go to localhost 3000. Localhost 3000. All right, and here you should see the initial Next.js application. Just small interruption, guys. I would like to announce that I'm looking for some people to help me to write some blogs, or help me overall with the content, and also maybe to collaborate on the courses. So I will just show you. You can find a description here of this. Okay, I'm especially looking for a freelancers. In a jobs section here, you can search here that I'm looking for a content writer, so some person that will be writing some contents or some blog posts. Okay, about the details, you can click here, learn more, and I'm looking especially for a freelancer. So, okay, guys, if you are a freelancer, you have, you know how to write a tech blogs, just write me, we can talk. And also, if maybe you're interested into the course creations, or maybe you have already planned some courses you would like to work on, or maybe you're looking for an audience you would like to share your courses, also we can collaborate on that. Of course, beforehand I need to talk to you, and we need to talk about the details. What is your idea about the course and all of this stuff? So if you feel like that you would like to maybe create course and you feel confident that you can create a good course, I can provide you some advices, and we can talk about the details when you will write me on the email here. Okay, so just a small interruption, and we can continue in the lecture. Perfect. So this is working, and now we need to go into data fetching functions. Maybe before I would like to say what's the difference between server-side render application and client-side render application, because obviously Next.js is a server-side render application. So how can we actually see the difference between server-side rendered and a client-side render application? Okay, for this you can view here page source of your application. All right. And actually I can format it nicer because this will be not very visible. All right, and we can search here for format HTML, for example. I'll go here. All right, I will paste everything here, and you will see I will format it. These are pages that it's sent from the server, so we are making to request to the server, and server is responding with this HTML document that's rendered in a browser. And you can see this HTML document has a body, of course, and in a body there is a content. This means this content has been rendered on the server and will send to us as a HTML document back to our clients. Client in this case is a browser. So there is a server-side rendered application when you are getting already content in your HTML document back to your client, back to your browser. So as you can see, we are making requests. You can actually inspect it. So you can right-click, inspect, and you will see here a network tab. I will make it closer. I will refresh. You can see first request is going to localhost 3000 to your server, and back you are getting a response. Here is your page I just showed you here. So you have already content here in a body, and this content you are displaying here. So that's a server-side render application. Now, in a comparison with a client-side render application, I will show you some client-side render application. So you will see really difference. What's the main differentiator in this application? So I will close this, and I will close this. Also, we have here localhost 3000, so I can close also this. And I have already some applications. Actually, I have applications on Heroku. So give me a second, and maybe I will forward this part. I will show you the application I have created with React. Okay, so I'll just log in on Heroku. Okay, I'll paste here my email and password. Okay, so I'm getting logged in, and I will show you some of my React applications. I'll actually show you one React application, and you will see what's the difference between client-side rendered and server-side rendered, because this application will be client-side rendered. Okay, so let's open this application. You can see here it is. At the first sight, you can see here there is a lot of content. Grid Power comes with grid responsibility. There are some cards with some text, and so on and so on. So there is definitely a lot of content here. But when you will right-click here and you will view page source, you can see here our actual HTML that's sent from the server. You can copy everything, and you can go again to format HTML. Okay, and you will see that there is not actually any content. Okay, so I will paste it here. I will format in a new window, and here is our HTML. There is just a script. You can see here is a script, also some scripts, JavaScript files here, but there is no actual content. There is a body, but you can see in this body, it should be just empty div with the ID of the root. Okay, so there's a client-side render application. So all this content you are seeing here on this page is rendered from a JavaScript. So as your HTML document is going back from the server to the client in the browser, it's rendered into the browser, and these JavaScript files attached to this file, so this JavaScript here is executed, and the JavaScript is handling rendering of your application. Okay, so there's a client-side render application when you basically get empty HTML document with no content, but the JavaScript is responsible for rendering your page. That's a client-side render application. Okay, so I can close this. And here we have our Next.js, which is a server-side render. So you're getting HTML document, but this HTML document already contained all of this content as you are receiving it. Also, you're receiving from JavaScript. Also, of course, for a dynamic functionality of your page, you need some JavaScript. So this is also sent to your browser, but you are getting already content to your browser. Okay, so what's the actual benefit when you have a client-side render and server-side render application? So server-side rendering, the main benefit is SEO, so search engine optimization. So your page is much better optimized, so it's easier to find basically on the internet. So on internet you have these small programs that crawling your website and they are indexing them, and your page, if your page has a bigger index, is easier to find on a Google. So when you will go to Google and you will search for your page, it's easier to find when it's server-side render application. You can manage your SEO much better as when you have a comparing empty page and your content is rendered on the client with a JavaScript. So that's one of the main benefits of a server-side render applications. Okay, but that was just a little bit of theory, and we can start see data fetching functions. Okay, so I will close this and we'll talk about the data fetching function. So when we will go actually back to Next.js documentation, we can click here on the data fetching, and the main data fetching functions we can use here is a getStaticProps, getStaticPaths, and a getServerSideProps. All these functions are called in the different stages of your page. For example, getStaticProps is called at the build time, getStaticPaths is the same, and a getServerSideProps is called on each request to the server. So let's open our coding editors first, and let's see our pages we have here currently. We have here in the pages folder, we should have only index page. That's our main page you can see in your browsers. So to create more pages, we can do it. We can create here multiple pages. So in the pages folder, let's create a new file. And let's create a first, let's say, about page. It will be just some simple page, about.js. We can export a default function. All right, we can call it export default function about, and return some JSX content. So return, let's say h1 I am about page. Okay. All right, so that's about page, and we'll create also, we'll copy everything, and I will create another page, and this I will call SSR for server-side render page, SSR.js, and I will paste everything here, and I will call it SSR and I am SSR page. Now when you will save this and your development server is running, it should recompile and you should have these pages already active. So when you go back to browser and you will go to /about, you should see here about page, and when you will go to SSR, you should see here SSR page. So now let's see these functions, but before we will see these functions, we would like to see actual rendered page as the Next.js is rendering them in the background. To see the actual HTML pages as they are sent to the browser, so actual HTML documents that you will get back to your browsers when you are going to particular URL, you can see when you will go to your terminal and you will shut down this, and you will simply run here npm run build. This will create a build of your application, and this will also generate HTML documents actually as they are sent to your browser. You can see here there are some differences between the pages you are getting rendered. And here are some also explanations what's happening, what these shortcuts means or these signs here. So you can see here most of your pages is this empty circle, and empty circle is a static page. So it's automatically rendered as a static HTML. So basically what's happening as you are creating your build, your pages, your HTML documents are already pre-rendered beforehand. All right, so if you would like to see these documents actually, you can go to back to your coding editors, and in the next you have your build. In the server you have pages, and the pages you have these pages that are already sent to that are already pre-generated beforehand, and they are sent to your browser when you are visiting particular URL. So when I'm visiting localhost 3000, I'm getting this index HTML. When I'm visiting about, so localhost 3000/about, I'm visiting this. I am getting this about HTML back. And when I'm visiting SSR localhost 3000/SSR, I'm getting SSR.html document with a pre-rendered content you can see in your browsers. So all this content is already pre-rendered. Also, what you're receiving here also is a CSS attached to it, of course, and also JavaScript files that are responsible for dynamic behavior of your application, and also you are getting back some functions that are required to run to your application. Okay, but this you can see here, we are getting these pre-rendered static pages that are sent to our browsers. Okay, so what data fetching functions we would like to introduce first? We'll start from the top to the bottom. So first function is getStaticProps. It will create a static generated HTML document at the build time. So it will create this HTML document as you have it here. So when we'll provide this data fetching function to about.html, your about.html will be rendered as before, but also you can provide some data at the build time to it. Okay, so for example, let's go back to our about page and let's use here this function. When you would like to use this function, you need to export it. So I will write here export const or export function. We can call it. We cannot call it as we want. We need to call it getStaticProps. GetStaticProps like this, okay. And here we can return some props. Usually you are doing it like this: return props. And I will write here props, and I will write here a message and hello world. All right, and okay, let's leave it as it is now. GetStaticProps. And when you now want to receive these props from this function, you will just, of course, you would like to perform here actual call to the server, maybe to some API server, ask for a data and provide this data back to your page. For now, I will just provide here these hard-coded informations and I will pass them into my about page. Later, I will show you the actual request. Okay, so you can receive these props through your page here. You can just simply receive here props and you can get this information. So I'll wrap my h1 into the empty wrapper so I can provide here more child components or elements. I'll write here p element and I will write here in the curly brackets, since this is a JavaScript expression, props dot message. Okay. Now we can save this and we can go back to browsers. We can go to our about page now. And of course, my server isn't running now, so I need to run here npm run dev. And you will see your getStaticProps will be providing data at the build time actually. So when I'm visiting page, I'm getting here a pre-rendered hello world. So I'm about page and here is hello world text. So that's the getStaticProps. You can fetch the data beforehand, and already when you're fetching your document, you are getting this document with this pre-rendered data. So this is happening at the build time. So when I'm already making a request to this localhost 3000/about, I will always receive the same document. This data will be not changing. There will be always I'm about page and here will be hello world. Okay, so whatever I will return from getStaticProps will be called only once at the build time, and then this page is static. It will not change. I will always receive the same HTML document back from the server. You can actually see it when let's go back to our code again. I'll write here some console log. So console log rendering rendering HTML document. I will save this. I will go back to terminal. I will show this server, clear it out, and I will run here npm run build. And you will see this function will be called at the build time. So let's wait a second, and you will see here console log. All right, somewhere here, compiled successfully, generating, and here is this rendering HTML document. So this is our console log we are displaying, and now you can see our about page. Here is this circle with that's filled circle, and it says here SSG, so automatically generated as a static HTML. Okay, so it's a pre-rendered page. So this is a static HTML page, but we are also using here getStaticProps, which is fetching a data at the build time. So as soon as we run npm run build, this HTML document will be generated and the getStaticProps will be executed, and data from a getStaticProps will be injected into the HTML we'll be sending to our browsers. Okay, so SSG just means static site generation. Okay, now let's take a look to our coding editors, and let's see here next. Let's open here server pages, and you will see here is your about.html. So that's the same HTML as we had it before, but now we have here this text hello world. So when I will search here for hello world, it's here. All right, so that's what we'll be sending to the clients, to the browsers. Will be all this pre-rendered content already here, but we have here also, opposing to before, we have here about.js. So there's a JavaScript code that will be executed and it will be called, and it will be sent to the browser. Here also we can see this hello world. Okay, so here you can see this part of this JavaScript is also this getStaticProps with our console log and the props of them with the message we are returning back to our page, and also about.json, which are data we are sending to the browser. So these are message hello world. All right, so that's how it looks like from a Next.js perspective. You're getting these three things generated when you're using getStaticProps: JavaScript, HTML with the pre-rendered content, and JSON file with your props you are returning from your getStaticProps function. When you would like to see it when we are running in development mode, and we'll run here npm run dev, we can visit our page now. Okay, so let's go back here. All right, and I will inspect this. Right click here, inspect. Let's see network tab here. Let's refresh. All right, and now, so we are receiving this about HTML document here. This, of course, you can parse it out in the format HTML, but here should be all of this content, or actually I will parse it so you can see it more clearly. Format HTML. That's the HTML document we are receiving back. Okay, I need to zoom it out. All right, open this and format HTML new window. All right, and this is a page we are sending back. So this is the content. You can see I am about page. Hello world is here, and we are getting here also a bunch of JavaScript files. Also, there should be attached our hello world message as a JSON. You can see here this props, page props, and here is a message hello world. So this content is also included in HTML document as we are receiving it. This particularly important, this data here, when you are going to your page, that these data are provided through your JavaScript, because also you are sending back a JavaScript code. Don't forget that this page also contains a JavaScript that you are writing also here into your about.js. This also included, and you can see here somewhere JavaScript file called about.js or something like this. Here in these JavaScript files, we should see here about.js. Here this, you can see this JavaScript code is also included here. Okay, so when we want to see the JavaScript code, we can of course do it. We can go to our about, and this JavaScript code is here. This also sent to your browser. We can double click here, and you can see here I am about page is here. So this JavaScript is also sent to your browser, is also executed. And also we should see here our message. Actually, here you will not see the message. This hello world message we are sending from the props, because this message is provided from this HTML document. This HTML document is parsed down, and this JSON data are provided to your page as a JavaScript is executed. I hope I am not confusing you, but you can see it when you will go back to your coding editors and you will write here debugger. These props will be provided even though you didn't see this data in the JavaScript file I just showed you in the browser. But when you will go here, you can see these props are provided. This message hello world is here because it is parsed down from an HTML document you are sending here. So you have this data hello world straight here as a JSON. You can see these props are here as a JSON here, message hello world. So that's why you have this data available as also as your JavaScript will execute in the browser. Okay, so that's a getStaticProps. Okay, so this will create a statically generated document, HTML document with the data that you are returning from getStaticProps. Okay, so let's continue. Let's go in a faster pace and let's take a look on a getServerSideProps. So for this, I have prepared ssr.js, and similarly, we can just copy actually this. It's very similar function, but it's called getServerSideProps. We can return here message, let's say SSR and data, and we can provide this message here. So I'll write here props, and here again I will wrap this in empty wrappers, and I will close this, and I will write here props dot message dot the message, just props dot message. All right, let's save this now. Let's go back to our browsers. Okay, now let's visit SSR, and you can see we are displaying here SSR data. Okay, so now let's take a look how it looks in the document we are sending back. So I will open here development tools, network, I will refresh. So we are getting this SSR page here. And we can search here for SSR data where they are included. There should be also JSON file with this data. So here is the props, page props, and here we have this message SSR data that are sent from the props. The difference here is that this function is called dynamically. Okay, so your HTML document is constructed at the request time. So as you are accessing your localhost 3000/SSR, you are making request to the server, and on the server you are fetching data as you are sending a request. You are constructing your HTML document and you are sending back this HTML document to your browser. Okay, so let's take a look on our build actually. Let's go to terminal, let's shut it down, and let's run here npm run build. And you will see that there is no pre-rendered HTML document. In this case, you can see SSR is a lambda here, so it's a server-side renders at the runtime. When you will go to your build here, and you will see here server pages, now your SSR will be just the JavaScript file. And in this JavaScript file, you will have actually get server-side function that is responsible for fetching your data. Okay, so this SSR.js is responsible for constructing your HTML document. So as you are making a request to localhost 3000 SSR, JavaScript is executed, JavaScript will create your HTML document at the request time, and then this HTML document is sent back to your browser. So that's the difference between the GetStaticProps and the GetServerSideProps. All right, so now actually we can start working with some real data. Actually, the main part of this lecture is done. I just wanted to show you GetStaticProps and GetServerSideProps functions, what the differences. As you can see here, maybe in this case there are just slightly differences, but maybe as we will be working now with the real examples, you will see the really difference in these two functions. Okay, so if you don't feel like you want to work on a practical part, the main part of this lecture is done. Now we can work on some real example. We'll be fetching some data from the internet. All right, so let's go back to our browsers. I will find here some fake API. We can use fake API. Most used one is JSON placeholder, so fake online API. We can scroll down and we can see what the request we can make. We can make a just fetch request to this API/todos/1, and this will get me first to do. Or we can use also the other resources such as albums, photos, and so on. So for example, let's see what's in albums. Okay, albums. Maybe we'll use photos. So we have also some image to show. Okay, so I would like to fetch this data and I would like to present them in the browser. Maybe first we can initialize a Bootstrap framework so we will have a nicer stylings of our application. But let's try to first fetch the data and then we can work on the Bootstrap. Okay, so first I will fetch this data in a GetStaticProps function. Okay, so let's go back to our coding editors. Or actually, first let's copy this API. Okay, let's go back to our coding editors. And we'll go to our about page. Actually, we can rename it let's rename it for the photos. Photos.js, I will call this function photos. All right, and I can remove all this content here like this, and in GetStaticProps will be fetching data and then we'll be presenting them. Okay, so I'll write here const response await fetch. We can use here fetch natively. Okay, we don't need to import anything here. Okay, so we are fetching /photos, right? That should be it, I guess. /photos, yeah. 5,000 photos. I don't need to show 5,000 photos, but yeah, let's fetch 5,000 photos now. Okay, so we'll get here response, and from a response, we can get the data, I guess, like this response dot, I think JSON. I'm not very sure. I don't remember actually from the fetch we are getting this data. I will just very quickly check here because they are using this function here. Okay, so const data, and is also returning promise, so we need to use here await in the front of it. Okay, so let's go back. Since we are using here async and await, we need to mark this function as async, all right? And I will get here await response.json, and this data will pass as a photos, and it will pass here data. Okay, and just to show this data, I will write here a map function. So let me write here. So in the curly brackets, I'll write here props.data.map. I will map over a photo. Okay, and I will display here some text. So I'll write here, I'll just div, let's say div. Let's close this div, and what we can show here. So what data we can have from photos. So let's see, we can have a title, for example. So I'll display title. Okay, so I'll display here div with the curly brackets photo.title. Okay, now let's save this. Let's run here npm run dev. You will see we are getting here data npm run dev. I will go to photos page. Okay, let's open your browsers. And let's see, we'll go to photos. And we cannot call a map of undefined, so this means our data are undefined in this start. Okay, I can read properly map of undefined. Okay, that should mean that we are missing here something. We are calling props photos. Here we are getting props.data. Okay, this should be props.photos, of course. Okay, let's save now. And also I should return this div here. Or if I don't want to return it, we don't want to write here return function, I will just omit these curly brackets, and this will be returned by default. Okay, like this now, guys. Okay, so let's save this. Let's go back here, let's refresh, and we are getting 5,000 titles. Okay, maybe just to limit this, let's splice this data. Let's write here data.splice, and I'll get here only first, let's say 50 photos like this. Okay, let's save this. All right, I will refresh, and we are getting this content here. Perfect. Now let's perform the same task, but now let's perform it with the GetServerSideProps. Okay, so what I need to do actually, I just need to copy this. Let's go to SSR and let's export this as a GetServerSideProps. GetServerSideProps. Okay, and now we can display here this data. So I'll just also copy this. So I will copy this return. All right, and get me this. All right, and props photos, that should be fine. Photo title should stay. Okay, so let's save this now and let's see it. All right, so in the photos, let's go to SSR. Okay, so same data. Actually, you cannot see really difference in the development environment when we are just testing here on localhost 3000. Any performance benefits here between the SSR and the GetStaticProps, but in ideal case, when your application will be deployed already in production, when you're visiting the page that's providing data with the GetStaticProps, its page should be loaded much faster because this page is already pre-rendered as you are accessing it. Opposing to SSR, which is getting your data ready when you are making requests, this will be much slower. Okay, so actually I can show you the difference between these when we will make a production build and we'll serve this from a production build. So let's go to our terminals for a second. Let's shut down your servers and let's run here npm run build. We'll generate production build of our application, so all of these pages will be generated. We can remind ourselves one more time, and we'll go to build folder. That when we will go to pages, we have already pre-rendered here photos.html with all of this data you can see here. Opposing to our SSR, with SSR we don't have here any pre-rendered data. You can see here on this function, and as you will make a request to your SSR page, this will be executed. You will get the data, and as soon as you will get the data, then your HTML document will be constructed. Now let's see it in a production environment. So I'll write here not npm run dev, but npm start. This will run our, again on localhost 3000, but this will be starting a production server now. So you can go to browsers. Okay, and let's see here. Okay, 3000, let's go here and let's see photos. Maybe actually we'll close it, I will open it again. Localhost 3000, and let's go to, let's see our photos. Okay, it's displayed. Okay, let's see, I'll copy it and let's see SSR. you could see here SSR could take much longer. Actually, I think it's still not obvious difference here. So if we would like to really see here obvious difference, I will provide some artificial delay in these functions. Okay, so now we will see the really difference. Okay, so let's go back to our conjugators. Okay, so how I will do is I will create a function delay, I will return promise, and I will be resolving this promise for 3 seconds, let's say. Okay, let's do it like this. Yeah, let's write here a function. We can call it just the const delay. This will be, let's say, arrow function. I will return here a new promise, return new promise, and this promise will be resolving. So let's write it arrow resolve and set timeout callback function here, and this callback function will be resolving 3 seconds, so 3000 milliseconds, and then we can finally write here resolve. And I will call here await and delay. So this will be delaying this call of this function here for 3 seconds. I'll copy this function. Let's go to SSR. Let's paste it here and let's write here await delay. So await delay like this. And let's see the difference now. So let's go to terminals, and first we'll run here our build. So npm run build. Now the build should be taking 3 seconds longer because we are delaying it 3 seconds in a promise. So let's see, now it's taking quite longer, 3 seconds, and then we'll write here npm start. Okay, we are running on localhost 3000. And now you will see the difference really. When you will go to localhost 3000/photos, you will see this is called immediately. You are getting immediately your HTML document. But when I will go to localhost 3000/SSR, it's taking 3 seconds. And after 3 seconds, I'll resolve my data, and I don't see here actually any data any longer even. All right, so that's something is definitely wrong here. But okay, it's taking 3 seconds. And I'm not getting even my data. So let's see our SSR. We are delaying it. We are getting here response, splicing data, prop. Oh, for some reason I got removed my my data here. Okay, so that's the just only issue here. So I'll just go to return. I will return the same data here, and I need to rebuild my application again. So you can see the difference at the build time and the request time. So this is a build time. When I will run here npm run build, my build of my application is prepared, my data are fetched, my static generated pages are generated. Now it's taking longer, but it's making build because now it's fetching all the data for these static generated pages. But as soon as I will run my application and I will access the static generated page, it's provided immediately. Opposing to server-side props, where I will go to SSR. Now, on the request time, I'm calling my GetServerSideProps. It's taking 3 seconds. I will refetch. I will get my data. HTML document is prepared and sent to the browser and rendered. So now you can see the difference between GetServerSideProps and GetStaticProps, really. Okay, now let's see one more function, and I will just generate here a single page that will be statically generated. So for example, I would like to go to specific page here. So I would like to get here, let's see here, fake API again. So fake API. Let's say I would like to see a first photo. So I will go to photos. Photos. Do we have such an endpoint? Photos/1, comments, post. Let's see here, photos and photos/1. Does it work? Yeah. Okay. So we can access the single photo by this ID. So for this, when you would like to get this single pages pre-generated, also you can just simply allocate a new page. I will call it photo.js. It's in a square brackets, and it's purposely in a square brackets because we will get this dynamically this photo parameter when we'll be accessing the URL of this photo page. So okay, so I will copy everything from here. I'll go to photo here. I will call it a simple photo. I'll get here props. I will remove this data here. I will remove this delay. We don't need to provide here any delay. And we'll be fetching here. We need to get here a parameter of this photo here from this square brackets. So we will be, for example, we'll be accessing here. We'll be going to localhost 3000/1, and this should fetch me first photo. So this will be this parameter I would like to get here into GetStaticProps of this photo page. For this, we need to introduce here. I will remove this await. We'll introduce here function also called getStaticPaths. So export async function and getStaticPaths, and this function is responsible for resolving these parameters here, okay? Or receiving actually these parameters here. Okay, so getStaticPaths. All right, and you can see actually example also on here on the Next.js page. So when you will search here GetStaticProps, somewhere down here should be also GetStaticPaths. I would like to show it to you here. So here is an example if you would like to see it. GetStaticPaths. Let me find it. Here it is. So you will receive actually all of your posts. Okay, so first you will fetch all the posts, you will receive the parameter of the post you would like to pass into your GetStaticProps. In the GetStaticProps, you will receive these parameters, and you can use these parameters to fetch single data here as a post, for example, here. Okay, so in the GetStaticPaths, you will fetch all the paths, so all of these IDs you would like to provide into detail page, and then in the GetStaticProps, you will get this single ID, and you will fetch data. Okay, so what we need to do here, we need to fetch here all the data. I'll copy this part. Here we will get all the data, but actually we just want to get here our first 50 photos. So I'll copy this, I'll pass it here. I'll call it const photos data.splice. All right, and we'll return these photos as a parameter. So I can return here. Actually, I will iterate over. So photos.map. I will map over photos. All right. And we would like to return here a single photo, so curly bracket, let's write here return, like this, and let's write here params, and each param will contain ID, and the ID will be photo.id, we should call it actually photo, because this will get me ID, and I can get these params here, so params, and actually here I can fetch the data from a photos slash, I will change this for the backticks, like this, and I will inject here dollars and curly brackets and this params.id, and this will get me my single photo. So I can just simply provide here my data, which will be single photo, change it for a photo, and up here I can receive this photo from a prop. So I will write here curly brackets props dot photo dot, let's say, title. All right, that should be it. So we are fetching all the data. We are getting parameters of ID from the photo. This should be singular photo.id, and this parameter is getting to GetStaticProps. This will be refetching the data again for the single photo now, and I will pass this to our function to generate the page. Okay, now let's save this. Let's actually run our development server now. So let's go to terminal, clear it out. Now npm run dev. Let's go back to our browsers. Okay, let's visit here local 3000/1. All right, we have here a couple of issues. We are missing here parameters we need to return from a getStaticPaths, and that's paths and fallback. Okay. So I will rename this for a paths like this, perfect. And I will return from here object with the paths and also fallback. I will be talking about the fallback in the later video. Just mark it as a fallback false for now. Okay, I guess this will be still not working. We'll get here error, but let's save it for now. Let's get it back here. Let's refresh. And you can see here required parameter photo wasn't provided as a string in a getStaticPaths. So since we are calling this page photo in a square brackets, we need to provide here a parameter of a photo. I'm providing here ID. So I will change it for a photo like this. Okay, and I will receive here params.photo, which will be my ID. Okay, like this. Okay, now let's save this. Now it should work. Let's refresh. And okay, still doesn't work. Photo.id params.photo. Let me write here console log and the paths. Okay, I will go to refresh here. I will see my parameters. Okay, photo. This looks great. Maybe I just need to recompile. So I will clear it out. I will refresh this and I will run here again npm run dev. Maybe that was the issue. Okay, let's save. Let's go back here. And still doesn't work. Maybe photo is a number. That's why it doesn't work. So I'll transform it to the string. I'll write here photo and I will wrap it in a backticks, dollars and curly brackets, and now it should be transforming to the string. All right, let's save it now. So refresh, and now it's working. So that was the issue, that we need to provide it as a string, and ID was the number. So now we have a result, and when we visit any page, I will get here informations about this single photo. Okay, so now it's working, and now when we will run here in a terminal npm run build, all of these pages from getStaticPaths will be also pre-rendered. So you'll get 50 pages now, 50 HTML pages. You will see I have still here console log and generating static pages. When you will see your build now in the next server pages, you will see you have here lots of pages. Okay, guys, so that should be it. I hope I cleared out some differences between GetStaticProps, GetServerSideProps. You just need to remember GetStaticProps is called beforehand during the build time. As you're building your application, GetServerSideProps is called during the request time. Okay, so when we are making a request to some particular URL to fetch some particular page. Okay, so GetStaticPaths are very beneficial when you want to fast page. The content of the page is not changing that often. GetServerSideProps you would like to have it for more, I guess, dynamic pages when you are making requests to the page and you're expecting to receive the different data each time you are making a request. There's also a lot of options you can provide to GetStaticProps and GetStaticPaths, but I will be talking about these in a separate video. Guys, so just thank you for your attention in this video, and I hope to see you in some of my other ones. Cheers!